Are you tired of watching shows that only give you general social media theory and expect you to figure out how to apply it to your own industry? Join us for this week's episode of Social Chatter, the industry's longest running social media marketing news talk show. Not only will you learn the latest breaking news, but you'll also gain practical advice on how to apply it. Now here's your host, Christian Karasevich.
Welcome everyone to Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing news talk show. This is episode 343 with myself and Sarah Monroe. We have a great episode for you this week. We're going to be talking about a little LinkedIn news, some TikTok news, Twitter news, maybe a few other things as well. But I'm going to go and bring on Sarah. We're going to kick things off and have her introduce this week's guest. Sarah, how you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm already seeing friends come into the comments. So great to see people jump in and say good morning. Good morning. Yes, it's an exciting day. Our guest, I have to say, our guests go above and beyond. Adina Jipa from SocialInsider is on vacation and she is tuning into us. We're really thrilled to have Adina on because SocialInsider just came out with a new report that's kind of shaking up B2B marketing on LinkedIn. And so she's going to have a lot of great information for us. And she's coming from the salty air of Sardinia. So welcome, Adina. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Sarah. Hi, Christian. Thank you so much for having me. I hope that my internet is not on vacation for this live.
Exactly. Hey, can you tell us a little bit about SocialInsider and your role at the company?
Okay, yeah, sure. So SocialInsider is a social media analytics, benchmarking, and reporting tool for digital agencies. I'm one of the founders, and also I'm running the marketing team and everything that's happened around the communication messaging around SocialInsider.
That's great.
Very cool. Awesome. And we'll talk more about that later on. So Sarah.
Yeah.
Turn it over to you.
Sure. Let's jump right in because we have Adina and SocialInsider's new report about LinkedIn that we're going to talk about in our Q&A today. So we decided to choose at the top of the show LinkedIn's new announcement of videos. I don't want to say just a video series because they've also wrapped around some blog posts. We all know how LinkedIn loves to have long blog posts. So they are talking about new aspects of how the LinkedIn algorithm works, revealing a little bit more about the theory, the practice, the concepts that are going into how LinkedIn is delivering content to users. So what they announced this week was a new series of videos. They've only released 2. I was really excited when I saw this news announcement because I thought, oh, there's going to be a whole series, but they just started the series. So we all have to be a little bit patient, where one of the vice presidents is talking a little bit about what the series is all about. And then also has a video this week about what we talked on our show last week about LinkedIn's new professional community standards and what it means to be professional. So I actually dug into this a little bit more. What the videos this week are talking about is really how LinkedIn wants to promote and support people being more of themselves. I hate using the word authentic. I think authentic means too many different things to too many different people. But bringing your whole self to LinkedIn is really what they're talking about, especially after the last 2 years. A lot of us who use LinkedIn have been showing a lot of behind the scenes. We have dogs and kids and pets walking across the screen or walking through the room. So everybody's gotten a glimpse into our real life and our personal growth as well as our professional growth. So that's something that LinkedIn wants to highlight more and encourage people to be their whole selves. And so if you dig in a little bit more to these videos, it's actually talking about some of the new controls that LinkedIn has. So this is actually part of a much larger initiative that they're doing, where you can really signal to LinkedIn what you want to see. So there's actually some drop downs now on posts. And Christian, it's on the next slide. I have some screenshots of what this will look like. When you click on a post that you don't want to see, it will tell you, it'll give you some options that you're not interested in the author. You may not be interested in the topic. You may not want to see political content. There might be something else. You can also report the post if you think that it violates their new community standards. There's also going to be more targeted activity, and how they're explaining this, I love this. You're going to see less comments from people that are connected to you. You'll see fewer comments of them commenting on posts by people who you're not connected to. So all of those notifications that you get that, hey, Christian said congratulations to Joe about his new job. You have no idea who Joe is. You don't really need to see that kind of content. So we should be seeing less of that. They're also going to downrank posts that ask for engagement. So ask for a like or a reaction. So that's going to be a pretty big content change for us in business too. And they're also going to filter polls. You know, we all got bombarded with polls over the winter. Well, for us, winter. So December into January, 21 into 22. Remember all of those polls that were on LinkedIn. So they are going to start filtering those. So we won't see polls from those who we don't follow or are connected with. So that is the LinkedIn news. And like I said, digging into the details is really important here, especially for that one piece that they really buried. They buried that lead about requesting likes and reactions. So I'll open it up to you two, what you think.
What do you think, Adina? You want to take this one?
So I think that there were so many changes on Twitter with all the news about Elon Musk, about buying the Twitter. I think that professionals starting to using more and more LinkedIn, and they move from Twitter to LinkedIn, and now the platform values more insightful content. So it's better for us to not to hack the system and to, I don't know, add some double spaces or ask for engagement or create so many polls that every idea can be translated into a single poll. So it's great for content creators to create valuable and insightful content for the community, for the people that are following you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, I mean, they've got a lot of people have moved over to LinkedIn, you know, which is great. And I like that I like the transparency here. You know, the fact that, you know, they're telling you what they want, and really it's going to be up to the user. I mean, there's no need to try to game the system, you know, and the benefit to try not to, you know, by not gaming the system, I think it's going to improve that overall experience, and that, you know, they're putting the tools out there. You know, they're basically saying, hey, here are the instructions, just follow them, and you do the right things, and you'll build some organic growth on the platform versus, you know, they're not trying to push you into using ads, for example, or things like that. They're saying, hey, you know what, here's how our platform works. Here's how we want you to use it. And you know, if you want to spend money on ads, great, go do it. But it's not like you have to go from, you know, not using ads to completely using ads, kind of like some other platforms have kind of, you know, made it feel like to get some of that exposure. So Sarah, do you want to add anything to this?
I would just say we kind of joke about LinkedIn being the one that trails behind, but they are putting a lot of thought into the platform, seeing the mistakes, seeing the challenges that other platforms have, and saying, this is our expectation. This is our expectation of how you use this, and giving users the choice to choose some of the content that they may or may not want to see. as well. So we talked a lot last week. I encourage people to go back and listen to our conversation that we had with Doreen Morin Van Dam last week about community standards and about some of those topics that LinkedIn is putting forward as far as their professional expectations. At the same time, encouraging people to be themselves. It's okay to have colored hair in 2022. It's okay to be a little more irreverent when it comes to professional spheres and communications.
It's okay to take career breaks as well, because they have that career breaks feature
Yeah.
they've added in addition to all these, obviously, these great, very useful features, I think. So I like the direction LinkedIn's going. I got to say, I like that they're starting to, and I think the timing's right, because people, they're like, well, I don't want to be on this platform because, hey, that's where I spend all the time with my friends and, my close family. And then, oh, well, I'm not really a TikTok person, for example. So then, there's got to be a happy medium there. So great update this week, by the way. And I got to say, I really do hope that they continue making those videos and publishing them quite frequently. Again, that's always the biggest challenge. A lot of times a company will come out with a great series of videos, but there's not enough. So I hope that they put more of that out there. Sarah, where do you want to go from here?
Yes. So you mentioned TikTok. We can go to TikTok. So TikTok, we debated whether or not this should be the top topic for today, but TikTok has opened up their platform to third-party social media management tools. Yes, it happened. It happened. So there are 8 badged partners right now, from Later, Sprout Social, Sprinkler, Hootsuite. There's a few more. So I would say definitely check out to see if your social media management platform is there. But I have to say, social media managers around the world are rejoicing at this news that they can post, they can manage, they can also manage. They have different parts of their dashboard that can then now bring in TikTok. Sorry, it's like so exciting. I can't even get my words out, right? So you'll be able to manage and track, and it's actually going to be much easier to repurpose content across the different social media platforms. We're seeing it all the time. And now you can bring those short form videos into the other platforms much easier with the tools that you're already using. So I imagine that this is going to open up more to other management tools. There's some of our favorites that aren't showing up on the list just yet. So hopefully those will appear very soon. But really, TikTok right now is killing it. 1.5 billion users. And the reports that I'm reading from some tech reporters is that the time on the platform for TikTok is exceeding it's blowing everybody else out of the water, just because it is so entertaining and it just keeps scrolling, right? Other platforms, you have to then scroll to see the next piece of content. You have to take some kind of action, and just TikTok just keeps playing. And before you know it, 2 hours have passed. So what do you two think about this news?
Well, I gotta say, I mean, I was gonna bring up that same point you had, which was there's a few platforms that are missing right now a few scheduling tools that are out there that seem to be missing from this list, but I bet they're probably working on it. I think my key thing would be, don't automate everything. So pick and choose what you want to share on the platform. And again, it helps so you don't have to bounce back and forth between all these different places. And check notifications here and check notifications there. Everything's all in a management tool. I'm a big fan of using them because, it helps. Again, you go back to like all the LinkedIn notifications you were talking about that you might get that might be unnecessary. A lot of times that's going to be an email. It's going to be a pop-up on your phone. It's going to be something on your, browser. Now you can just do, you can do all that from a social media management tool. So if you have never considered using one, it's definitely time to do that. Because again, it's not about automating the content. It's about, just being able to be on top of it and engage with your community. So Adina?
Yeah.
So I think it's an opportunity for brands to start growing a TikTok account, because most of the social media managers need a unified platform, a platform that can schedule, analyze, and grow the presence on social media from one single dashboard. So bringing TikTok to these top players. It's an opportunity for brands to move things to this platform too. And for social media managers, I think it's really cool because they have one single dashboard to do everything and not using the native app.
Mm-hmm. Right. And Adina, how is TikTok user usage? You're based in Europe. So personally, or just among your friend and professional networks, how much is TikTok being used that you see among your networks?
So I started to see that more and more age 25, 35 are starting using TikTok. If last year I saw that, I don't know, kids in the park playing around and creating videos for TikTok, this year I started that my friends that are close to my circle, they already spend a lot of time on TikTok, actually replacing some things on Netflix and going to TikTok and watching different videos. So yeah, it's of course TikTok wants to compete with Netflix and YouTube and not with other social platforms. So more and more, if they push and they create content for an older target, an older target will come to this platform too.
Right. That's really interesting, by the way, that you mentioned that they want to compete with Netflix and not Facebook or Instagram. And that's really fascinating because it reminds me of a product called Quibi that was out at one point that never took off. And, essentially, I mean, TikTok's basically the same thing. It's just
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that all the changes regarding the clear mode and eliminating all the disruption while browsing the app makes you have a Netflix experience.
Right. And that's exactly what you brought up, Sarah, which is, the fact that you can just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and, your time has gone by, and then you're not thinking about, well, oh, I need to be on, I need to be in this app as well. So
Right.
Great point.
Right. Yeah. Even Instagram Reels, right? You have, when a reel finishes, it doesn't necessarily just scroll to the next. You get a chance to watch it again, or you can move. You have to have some kind of interaction. So I think I love Instagram. I have to say, I love Instagram Reels. I love YouTube. I realized last night, I don't think I've turned my television on in 3 days. Right. So, and I consume my news in different ways. So I haven't really needed traditional broadcast television at all. So it's definitely taking over. And Adina, you actually teased one piece of the other TikTok news that we were going to share today. First of all, TikTok is going to feature more live creators this coming month. They're using Pride Month as an opportunity to not only elevate different creators, but to also really showcase their live tools. So I think we're going to see a lot more opportunity for creators to use these live platforms as they're working through Pride Month and the features that they're going to do. So LGBTQ plus creators are going to be featured on the main TikTok channel, on TikTok for Business, and TikTok for Small Business. So it's really going to be across the platform, and they're actually going to sponsor some live events like the LA Pride parade. So TikTok's coming off of virtual and going into IRL, right? And then the piece that Adina mentioned before is this clear mode. So it's what this clear mode is being tested. Only a few people are seeing them right now. But what it gives you the opportunity to do is to remove all the clutter that's around it. So you can remove the captions and the buttons. And I have to say, Instagram, please look into this, because Instagram Reels now has the effects buttons and the captions and all the control. Everything is all over the place and you can barely see the video. So I love that TikTok is going to move to this. Again, that clutter-free appearance. And, looking at time, why don't we just rush right into the last two pieces of news? We're looking at Twitter. Twitter has given the opportunity to pin tweets within communities. And we were all kind of joking before the show today saying, I don't really use Twitter communities. I wasn't really aware of all of the tools for Twitter communities. And I think that's the problem. Why Twitter communities hasn't taken off is that a lot of people don't use it. It's not really intuitive. Sometimes you can inadvertently spam Twitter communities with other tweets. And so, having the ability to pin a tweet that the moderators want to keep up at the top is great. What's buried in this news piece too is a reminder that Twitter now has facets on your profile, so you can actually target some of your tweets to these different communities. And the other piece is there's some chatter about custom controls using third-party tools to customize your Twitter experience. So opening up that Twitter algorithm. Twitter's always talked about how their algorithm is more open source, and there's whispers of it. It may be more easily adjusted for your own experience using third-party tools, developer tools, really. So may not be for the average user, but for sure, some developers can really dive into that. So any thoughts on those few pieces?
I mean, the pinned tweets is, it's kind of, I mean, I use it on my profile, but I haven't gotten into using it for communities yet. Again, nice feature, but again, it's buried. So
yeah.
If you want people to, adopt some of these features, you got to make them, maybe they need a separate app. Maybe they have that. I'm not sure, but maybe they need a separate app for something like that. Kind of do the whole Facebook thing, create a separate app and then pull it back and put it back into the standard app at some point. Something though, to kind of draw people there. What do you think, Adina?
Sorry, I think the internet was down for a little moment. Regarding when it comes to TikTok, referring to TikTok remote, they understand video. There is a video first platform, so TikTok really understand how to build a platform for videos, and that's why Instagram want to rebuild and to create the whole experience to push more videos. So with clear mode, I think they really understand how to forget what you have outside, just scroll the app all day long or when you have a break. Regarding Twitter pin post, I think it's great to boost awareness. If you have a community, if you have a strong community, you already build a community. It's a way to boost awareness for your products, or maybe to have some initiative in that community, and pin those posts on that community. I think it's helpful. Regarding the algorithm. For my experience, I think it will be a total different feed for everyone. So someone else sees something and you get tweets based on something else. I don't know how this will be and how this will change the way you interact with the platform. So I'm a little bit just wait and see. I'm not sure what to say in this case, because it's quite strange in the way they want to develop the algorithm.
Right. I have to say, whenever I mostly use Twitter on desktop, and I forget how great the Twitter app is and how I can customize my feed more. And really enjoy the experience more on the app. Kind of like LinkedIn too. The LinkedIn app, much different than the desktop experience too. So yeah.
And it's so funny when you talk desktop and mobile apps, because a lot of times, when you were building a website or you're building something, you were always instructed to, make sure, like, you wanted to try to create a pretty seamless experience, but it is a little challenging at times where you try to use something on mobile and it does not function like the desktop app. And you have to spend, it becomes more frustrating to the point where people don't want to actually use it, because some of those features that you desperately want or need aren't there. So, good updates, though. I mean, definitely good updates from TikTok and Twitter for this week.
Right.
So what time is it, Sarah?
It is time to talk to Adina. Finally, Q&A. We keep teasing about how SocialInsider just came out with this new report about what kind of content is playing on LinkedIn. And we have the expert here. So SocialInsider just did a lot of research about B2B marketing on LinkedIn. And so I'm not even going to explain it. I'm going to let Adina explain it. If you could talk a little bit about what this report is and talk about what type of content is performing on LinkedIn for B2B marketing.
Sure. So we launched last year a report about LinkedIn content for business pages. We analyzed more than 114 business pages, to see what is the most performing type of content, what drives more traffic, and what social media managers what type of content they have to create for to build awareness, to build a brand page. So the most performing type of content on LinkedIn for B2B marketing, from what we discover, is text with single image. So if you want to get more engagement, just write down simple text and add a single image, and more people will interact with your content. And make sure that now that LinkedIn changed it a little bit, the algorithm, the way they push your content, make sure that you eliminate the spaces. You don't ask for engagement. You don't ask questions like, please, what are your thoughts here, or reply in the comment to write down in the comments what you are thinking. So eliminate this type of captions of this type of messages, and focus on creating just text and valuable text with a single image. Of course, videos are generating comments. So if you you just make sure that you add the hook in the first seconds of the video, and if they are staying with you more than 15 seconds, for sure they will engage with your video. And of course, native documents. So these three type of documents are the most important: text with single image, videos, and native documents to create more engaging content on LinkedIn.
Can you elaborate on native documents?
Yeah, so native documents means I'm pretty sure that you already saw on LinkedIn those carousels or PDF. Actually, the carousels show them as a carousel. It's a slider. You can there are, I think, up to 10 slides. So in the back, it means a PDF that you upload on LinkedIn, and that means a native document. So from what we discovered that this type of content generates a higher traffic. So native documents, if you want to push people, to drive people to visit a website, a homepage, make sure you create a good PDF, upload it on LinkedIn, and drive you in this way. You can drive people to your website.
And that reminds me a lot of what was the feature LinkedIn they bought? Was it called SlideShare, I think, at one point?
Oh, it was called Jump Rope.
No. Even further back than that. I think it was called SlideShare, where you could take presentations, you could put it on another site that LinkedIn essentially bought, and then seems like they folded into the product because they got rid of that product at one point. I think that's what it was. So very cool. Okay, Sarah, do we have what other questions do we have for Adina this week?
Sure, absolutely. So you've talked a little bit about what type of content generates traffic, but let's talk a little bit more about LinkedIn pages, because a lot of people, we have LinkedIn pages, they sit quietly and patiently for us to post something, right? So I know that you have been talking a lot about LinkedIn pages, and I'm just going to open up the floor about why you think they're important, what we should be doing with them, and what kind of content's performing for them.
So it's important to have a business page because as a business, as a brand, maybe in this way, it helps you to drive more awareness for your brand. It's okay to have your employees and start employee advocacy program and to involve your employees to be more present on LinkedIn, but maybe your employees at some point they are moving to other companies, so they build a brand awareness for them as individuals. But if you keep your brand page, you build brand awareness for your brand and for your business. So that's why I think I militate for businesses to start business pages and not focus and not have a present just based on the employees. I think LinkedIn, with all these changes that we mentioned, Sarah mentioned earlier, it's important to create and have a content distribution strategy only for LinkedIn. I think it's not a place where you want to sell. It's a place where you ask, how are you? What are you doing? And I think that it's important if you want to drive more subscribers to a newsletter or invite people to a webinar, not all links are equal. So if, for 1 week, for example, if you you already plan 5 messages, make sure you have just one link to that. You have just one link where you share it on LinkedIn, because if you have 5 links, people don't want what's the most important link for you. So maybe in this case, it's important to create content for LinkedIn, create lists, create tips and tricks, and not push people outside the community, the LinkedIn community. Of course, now I saw that other brands started creating memes. I appreciate the way the guys from SEMrush are creating a LinkedIn presence. So they have a mix of memes with valuable content, with polls, with invite to their webinars or their maybe download an ebook, but don't just make sure you mix this content and not every time add a link, share a link to, and invite people to read more or on your homepage or on your blog. It's important to involve your employees. Founders, CEOs are important to build a presence on LinkedIn, and also the product people are important to be on LinkedIn and to speak about the product. And after the product people came the sales and the marketing teams and the customer success. If you have this mix of people in your team that are vocal and they have a consistency, a strategy on LinkedIn or the individual profile, I think it's a great employee advocacy program for your page and for your business.
Right. Getting those employees involved. We all talk about, we all ask them, would you please share out? I work with a lot of nonprofits, and trying to get board members to share social media content or at least engage with it, at least react to it or comment on it so that we try to get a little bit more reach on our pages. I think it's really important and a perennial problem, right?
And I would add to that, if you're going to ask your employees to share things, you could give them an example, try to help them as best you can, give them an example. If they don't do it, like, you can't force them to do it, but try, ask them, try and do all, if for example, if you notice certain people are sharing the content, chances are those are going to be your, everyone at the company is going to be an advocate for the company, but you're going to have some people who are more social than others. And so, you can't force somebody to share something. Again, if you notice, hey, it's only the same few people sharing things, maybe you want to reach out to, maybe you want to send another email out to your employees and say something like, hey, have a training, have a brown bag social media training or something like that within your company to better educate your employees who may not be using social as much, and kind of show them some tips and best practices and how it actually can help them by being more social.
Yeah,
Right.
I think you, as a founder, you have to teach them how to build a brand, an individual brand. Maybe some training, some webinars, maybe invite some people to teach them how to build a brand, a personal brand. So this is the way to start and motivate them why it's important to have a presence on LinkedIn and to create messages for this platform.
Very cool. Sarah, do you have any other questions for Adina?
I think we're out of questions, but is there any final thoughts that you would have, Adina, for companies that need to dust off that LinkedIn company page and what to do first?
So as I said, have a consistency, maybe have a consistency and create at least one message per day on LinkedIn and share just one link per week. Don't push in the links, your website too much. Don't invite people to read more outside the LinkedIn. Keep people in this platform and distribute the content under using lists, using tips and tricks. I know that these are working the best type of content.
And to that point, by the way, you talk about keeping people on the platform. That's another thing. You can make a note on LinkedIn. So you could have your CEO doing, having a note or a piece of content out there, and it's a great, nice, summary piece, and that can keep people right there on the platform. And again, then you could have a piece of content that's, relevant that's previously there, or you could follow up with, content that you want to drive them to. But, and it invites that engagement on the site, and you've shared some really great tips, by the way, just overall for B2B LinkedIn pages. So thank you.
Right. That link, I think the biggest takeaway that I have from this conversation is not to invite comments or reactions in the copy that you have on LinkedIn. So that's definitely an editorial change that I'll start making.
Yeah, absolutely. So many good tips here. Sarah, do we have anything else for Adina?
We do. Well, the next tip is really our tool of the week. And Adina, we chose SocialInsider as the tool of the week this week because not only can you find these great reports, where they are researching hundreds of thousands of accounts. These aren't reports that are just anecdotal or are just based on their own company pages or one or two accounts and seeing the reactions that they have to that. This is really in-depth, long-scale research. I think there was one report I was reading, it was an entire year and millions of posts that they were looking at and analyzing. So fantastic research. But on top of that are all of the tools that SocialInsider has to help you analyze your social media reach, to do competitor analysis, to really dig deep into the data. And I'll let Adina, what else can we say about SocialInsider?
So you can, as you said, you can get competitors analysis. You can download reports in multiple formats, from PDF, PPT, CSV. You can create dashboards in Google Data Studio, because some of the agencies they have to create one single dashboard from multiple tools, and they use their own report and share that report with the client. You can get content inspiration. Once you add so many profiles into the dashboard, you can scroll to all the posts. You can scroll back to, I don't know, 2 years of data, 3 years of data on Instagram, for example, and understand what's working and what's not. And you can understand on a campaign level. You can get insights on a campaign level, see what's how a campaign performing through a year, and you can analyze your brand you can get the total impressions, the total people you reach as a brand on social media, how people perform, how people reacted to a specific message that you distributed on multiple platforms. And in this way, maybe you limit some messages on LinkedIn, for example, and just move that messages on and keep that messages only on Instagram, because people are interacting in a different way with messages on the platforms. Mm-hmm. So there is 14 days of free trial. You can add up to 10 profiles just to get a feel of how to start using it. Add your own page and add your top competitors, maybe 5 competitors, and understand and start researching and get some data and back up your strategy with some data.
Mm-hmm. Right. And we should say this isn't a paid promotion for Social Insider. We love Social Insider, and we're surprising Adina with this being our tool of the week, because we love it. We really do. Your reports, your research are really rock solid, and we so appreciate you putting that out there. And I love the tools too. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sarah and Christian.
And you're very welcome. And it's so, like, here's the other thing. I mean, a lot of times, a lot of people guess on social media. You know, they say, okay, well, it worked this time, I'm going to do it again. And then it doesn't work. And they keep doing the same thing. And it's like, well, that's where these tools can help. So you want to make sure you spend time, test out different tools. I mean, test out the tool. It's, what you said, a 14-day trial, right? And then how much is it after that?
Yeah. After that, the price starts from $99 per month.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, that's going to save you a ton of time. You're not going to have to do any guesswork. Yeah. And, it's going to help give you, much better, information, and you're going to totally make that time up versus trying to do it all manually. So fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah. Usually our clients, they said that they save up to 4 hours per month, per week, per reporting. So I think it's really great.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's super important. Again, it's the time you're going to save, not having to go try to figure out all of these things. Well, is that a good source, and whatnot? So
right.
Very
and
good
2 years of Instagram data, 2 to 3 years of Instagram data. You can't just download that. Yeah.
I know. How many of you ever had? And speaking of that, so you have a podcast, I know, as well. It's called, I think, The Life of a Social Media Manager. And I have that as your place for people to connect with you. And that's the thing. That's going to be a gripe that you're going to probably hear from a lot of social media managers. Their boss is going to ask them for data, and they're going to want, historical data that maybe the person wasn't in that role at the time. So no one was collecting it. So therefore they wouldn't necessarily have access to that, and so then, so Social Insider can actually help save you a lot of time with gathering that information. It'll actually help you look good too, when you can be like, hey, you know what, here's that data. So
that's right.
So, I had it listed as like, so here's your podcast. I think it's here's a direct link to it. This will get over to Adina's podcast. I think you run this with, is it your co-founder, or is it?
It's one of my colleagues from the marketing team.
Awesome. And it's called The Life of a Social Media Manager. That'll take you directly to that podcast link. Again, if you want to check out all the stuff that Adina's doing, Social Insider, as well. Put links to that in the blog post. Sarah, where's the best place for people to get in touch with you?
People can find me across social media at Sarah Monroe VT. Instagram is just sort of a random creativity project right now. And LinkedIn is where I live professionally. If you want to connect with me, I have creator mode activated. So click those 3 dots. The drop down will open up. You can connect with me and drop a note. Let me know that you saw me on Social Chatter.
Very cool. And I'm Christian Kursevich, and you can find me on LinkedIn, but you can also follow us at Social Chefs across all our social platforms. As usual, we're going to have a blog post recap. It's going to go out over the weekend. Got to make sure I get these numbers right. socialchefs.com/SC343 will be the blog post. We'll have the video. We'll have all the tips that Adina has shared, along with a link to SocialInsider as well to go check that out. And then next week's show is going to be with Troy Sandage, right, Sarah? I think I got this
yes.
right. Troy Sandage.
Find Troy. Yes.
You'll be able to find him here next Thursday at 10 a.m. Sorry, that was a bad pun. Sorry. So
he'll appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, Adina, it's been a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for joining us, taking some time out of your vacation. I want to make sure we give you about 15, 20 minutes back to go enjoy the rest of that vacation. So with that, we'll have to have you back. But with that, thanks a lot for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you all next week.
Thank you.
Bye.